Welcome back to another episode of Talking Best Ball with Steveospeak. We are going to do a couple drafts today, ideally Badge Bros and some German Shepherd. And we will jump in just a few seconds when let some people get in the room and see if anyone wants to jump in the lobbies. We also have some serious news to talk about with some camp stuff already, and also DraftKings launched a new contest, the German Shepherd 2, which ideally we will draft in a bit. I'll probably start with some Badge Bros contest as we get started here. Hope everyone is having a good Thursday morning. We also are coming off Ball Jeopardy last night, where Candyman and Bindles, the ballsy co-hosts, went at one another. It was a good performance, and Candyman definitely with the win, but I suggest everyone go back to watch it. A lot of fun there, a lot of good comments and chats, and just fun all around. Just been a really great experience with the Ball Jeopardy, and love the positive feedback we got from the community. The other thing we have tonight, Meg and I are doing Sibling Showdown. I believe it's at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, so look forward to that. And I'm sure we'll probably do at least one German Shepherd tonight. Not sure exactly what we're going to plan on drafting tonight. But I was going through my slows as getting ready for the show. We will start with a Badge Bros draft in a second. Let me check in with the chat real quick. We got Jeremy in here, BBM. I might do one later depending on like how many likes we get and everything. I definitely want to do at least one Badge Bros. I was probably going to do at least one German Shepherd, and then I'll probably leave it up to the chat and how many likes we get. Kicks in here saying, good to see you, Steve. Good to see you as well. Hope you're doing well. Tim, you Japan, Steve, and German Shepherd is filling quick. Yeah, it was released an hour ago, and it's like 7% filled. Let's see where it's at. I just looked like 15 minutes ago, and it's like 6.5, 6.8. I entered a slow so I'm not totally trying to do all these fast. And that's the thing with these tournaments. It's only 22,000 entries, but it's a 20 max. So 1,000 people max enter, and it's pretty much done. So wow, 9.2% filled. Let me just throw in a couple more slows just in case things get crazy and I forget later. So I'll just do a couple more just to get that party started. But I will do a Badge Bros first, and I will enter that in a minute. But I do want to do one German Shepherd and location error. So this is always why good thing I did the slows first. Let me see if I can get in a slow before I try the Badge Bros, so I don't have any location error issues on that as well. We will. All right, good. Those went through. So hopefully the Badge Bros won't be a problem in a second. Yeah, maybe filled by tomorrow. Yeah, when it came out, I said it'd be filled by Saturday. It could be filled tomorrow night for sure. We got Putt Daddy in here. What up? Just started the German Shepherd trek. No, and we'll talk about more when I jump in one in a little bit. But it's definitely one of my favorite tournaments. It has some of the best ROI you can find. You double your entry fee for making playoffs, which is nice. I mean, the weeks 1 through 14 is the longest part of the season. So, it's nice to get a little rewarded. I know you're not going to like make big money that way, but it's nice to have that positive ROI. You max it $100, you make finals, you get that. And still is a 5-figure payday for a 20 max tournament. $5, each. That's pretty good. We got Whohames in here saying, "Sup, fam, Shepherd filled by midnight tomorrow." Yeah, it's definitely looking like it's going to fill quick. I'm going to have to be doing some all day for sure. So let's start with the Badge Bros. That's what I said I wanted to do, and I am a big fan of that contest. Just to go over it again for those, I wrote an article on Fanspeak Substack, which you can find there. But it's a nice contest. Yes, it's only 6 people drafts, 6-person drafts. So you're going to be building super teams. So you got to find ways to get unique, get different. But the advance rates are great. 1 of 6, which is just like the 1 of 12. And then 1 of 5, 1 of 5. It is the same 375 person final as, say, a puppy. And of course, those are 2 of 12, 1 of 10, 1 of 10. So it's got a much better advance rate, and you get a 100K payday. Sure, it's double the price of a puppy, but even if you max enter 2 puppies, you would still be more. You'd still have a better expectation of making a finals in a Badge Bros than puppies, even doing 2 of them. So just something to keep in mind, and pretty good payout structure. Like making the finals, you don't fully get your money back if you were to max. So that is like the one thing people will knock, and that's fair. But I do think the better advance rate makes up for that a little bit. And look, I'm not planning on maxing it in 16 so far. I'll probably get to around 50. It's filled up a little bit better these last couple of days, though could slow down now with German Shepherd and presumably other things coming out. But it's going to be around like another week or so. So I'll probably get it around 50 tournaments. So at the 107 Eastern mark, I'm going to enter a Badge Bros contest. And I'll wait here just so I can enter, and then I'll hit back chat. But I enjoy this contest. It's similar to rookie sophomore, similar to Superflex. I think there's some edges you can exploit. It's different, so I know it's not for everyone. This is fast only, which has some issues about trying to get volume. So we are entering now. Do a BBO up, and let me see if I can sort by Badge Bros. So this should be right. Yeah, this should be right for Badge Bros, which is nice. And it's nice to have a tool like BBO to do this. As you can see, I haven't gotten the 101 much because I would take Chase every time. I've gotten 2 and 3 quite a bit. So that's the one downside. Like with Chase not falling at all, it's he's like impossible to get kind of over the field on. And let me just hit up chat real quick. Hey brother, ready to draft with you? Yeah, I'm ready to draft with you too, Meg. We got Jamie in here. How's it going? What's going on? I think that's good projection. Yeah, it is filling super fast. And yes, RIP to Hulk Hogan. I saw that this morning. Who crew stand up, and RIP to and we got our guy Eddie in here, Stefano. How's it going, Eddie? Hope you're doing well. We're starting off with the Badge Bros. We'll definitely do a German Shepherd, and then we'll kind of see what's next. So Chase doesn't go 101. So the one time I don't get the 102, I don't get the Chase potential Chase fall. So that's a little disappointing. Okay, I don't know what's going on, but maybe it's for this reason. Maybe it's just people who've gotten the 101 want to mix it up. And so I will take Chase at 103. I've not seen that. I don't think I've seen Chase not go 101 in any of the contests, in the other 16 contests I've done. But I will take that. No questions asked. So I think you can play different ways. You can go balance, you can go heavy wide receiver, you can go heavy running back. I prefer heavy running back just because I do think the elites, particularly after like the first 3 or 4 receivers, the elite running backs, like the top 10, 12 running backs, are going to separate more than the top 10, 12 receivers. So and as you'll see, if you're not familiar, there's just so much receiver depth throughout. But it does come back to Chase, and I'll go Neighbors. I think you could make a case for any of those receivers. I could have made a case to pull up one of these 2 running backs, but Chase Neighbors is a fun start in this. Just a lot of just raw upside with their talent. Thank you guys. I appreciate everyone in chat. And yeah, didn't see anyone in this room. Like I said, we'll do a German Shepherd after this, and then we'll figure out what people want to do. I originally started the day thinking I was going to do a BBM, but with the German Shepherd, it's tough to pass on doing that. So I will take a chain here. I was going to say Bowers, I think, is very defensible this early. Elite tight end is a little better in this format, I feel like, but I don't want to get too overweight on it. You know, I like them, but at the end of the day, I still think you can mix things up a little bit. As you can see, I didn't realize I have no Hill. Higgins is just a massive. I seem to get him all the time. And I'm going to go McBride. I do think having an elite tight end is valuable. So so far, no quarterbacks go. They typically go in quick succession. So I wasn't going to be the first one to break the dam, but they come up at 27. I'll probably be taking an elite quarterback. I do like Jacobs, and particularly Jacobs. And yeah, Garrett Wilson, you know, the big news today is, of course, Justin Fields carted off. Sounds like a fractured toe. We'll get more reports on the severity and what that means. Yeah, not great news, early camp news. I mean, I guess the good side is if it's not serious and it's early, he could very well be back in time for the regular season. I lied. I'm going to take Jacobs. With no quarterback going yet, I feel like I can hopefully push it back to my next pick and get one of the four. If not, there's definitely ways to pivot away. I think a chain and Jacobs give you upside of 2 top 5 running backs. I have 2 top 5 receivers, and I have a top 3 tight end, you know. So if I can still land an elite quarterback, I think it makes sense to jump on Jacobs there. Just because there's a bit of a teardrop when you start to get to like Breece Hall, Hampton, James Cook. I like those guys, but just not enough to pass on Cook, Jacobs, especially when I don't have a lot on him. So I'm pretty much going to go elite quarterback here. One of these 3 will be mine. I'd love it to be Lamar, and it is. So the other thing you can do with this, I don't really like double elite tight end, and Kittle is gone as well, so not even an option. But double elite quarterback is very strong. I still typically will tack on a third quarterback just to really separate myself and potentially make myself very unique. But if Hurts is there at 39, I think I will just do that. Like these receivers, I feel are very similar. I think I could get a share of Kyron or get Hampton. I think those are both fine. But Hurts, there's a gap between Hurts and even Burrow. The Burrow is close enough. Like as I've mentioned multiple times, you know, his last 2 healthy seasons, he finished quarterback 3 and 4. So to say that he can't be elite, I think is underselling his upside. You got Jamie in here. Small leagues like this is better to go with the position advantage game guys like Bowers or Allen. Yeah, exactly. There's definitely advantage to that. I read that the new offense coordinator for Detroit is giving up more passing plays for Gibbs. Any thoughts on that? So yeah, you know, there'd already been some reports like Gibbs displaying out wide, stuff like that. One, I think, look, we saw a chain how valuable that was. I will take Cook here. I have a lot on him, but I think it's strong. Again, I think really being strong at running back is key. We're already into a point of a lot of like 1s or number 2 receivers, and they're fine. But this whole group of receivers are extremely similar in my book. And there are a few that are a bit more spike weeky, like a Pickens, Sutton. You can make the case a little bit. Devonta and Waddle. You know, maybe I tap into one of those, or you know, I don't have a ton of Hubbard. I might just go there. I also like getting different bye weeks so I can feel good about stopping at 5 running backs if I want. So I'll lean to the stack. The Devonta, I think, is enough spike week upside. But as for Gibbs and passing more, I think it just makes sense. I think Detroit, they have 5 really strong offensive weapons, 2 running backs, Gibbs and Monty, Laporta, tight end, and then Monra and Jameson Williams. I think Gibbs getting schemed up more in the passing game doesn't really hurt Monty much. I think it could help him because he could still be on the field on these plays where Gibbs is spread out wide. Honestly, I think if it's hurting anyone, it's the idea that any third receiver is going to step up for the Lions, whether that's the rookie Tesla, veterans like Raymond or Tim Patrick. I just think Gibbs could kind of play a bigger role there. So that's kind of the way I look at it. I think it's a positive for Gibbs. I don't think it hurts any of their other like key offensive weapons, but it makes me less interested in any like late stacks. There, I have a ton of Alvin Kamara, and he's hard to quit here because he's such a big spike week guy, big time point totals. I do need to at some point slow down on him, but different buy, just massive upside. He finished 6th in points per game last year, 10th in total points, and 10th in total points missing 3.5 games is extremely impressive. So let's see. My question is, where do you get those pancakes? Fair. I love pancakes. Yeah, no, hard not to. And I'm back on the clock. I'm going to go Rome. I think, he was a top 10 pick just a year ago. And I think he's now in the Ben Johnson offense. Now it's Caleb Williams, a really strong offensive line, some more time to get the ball to him. He can be a vertical guy. I could see he's just some really big upside potential if him and Caleb can mesh well. Burden's still a little banged up. DJ Moore, there's questions about his role in the offense. I think this could quickly turn into Rome's offense. So that's the way I'm playing it. This is what I mean. Like, just these receivers here are so close. And this is where I typically just go back to running back. I'm going to take Henderson here. I think he's not going to be an every week guy, but he'll have his spike weeks. And I accomplished my mission of getting 5 different buys. Just a ton of raw upside there. I'm looking for my flex to always be a running back or basically as much as possible. So having 5 different guys, I think, is huge. And I still might tack on to 6 because I rarely, particularly when I have an elite tight end, I rarely am going to take a third tight end because they're just never going to hit your flex. They rarely do in regular drafts and even much less so in this format. So I might go Kyler here. Sometimes you can wait, but I don't want to wait. I want to have Kyler with McBride. We know Kyler also has rushing upside. He can be a borderline. I know the last 2 years he hasn't really done that, but he can be a borderline elite quarterback. He's done it before. They say he's going to run more. Right now I'm not taking Fields just as we wait and see. If I do more of these drafts and he's available in like the 18th round, I might, take some Fields as he falls. I'm not going to take him right now. Probably not going running back. Probably just really focus on receiver right now. I like Jaden Reed a lot. Diggs, I have clearly a ton of Golden. I think these can be spike weeky guys. Like a guy like Jacoby Myers, I'm just not nearly as interested on. I'll take Jaden Reed here. I know he may not be running in 2 wide receiver sets, but I think he is their most explosive receiver overall. And so he's the guy most likely to get the 30-point games. And those are the games that I'm going to need to break a starting lineup that has Jamar Chase, Malik Neighbors, Devonta Smith, and Dunze. So I'll probably go 8 receivers in this build and just throw volume. A lot of upside starting receivers is the way I look at it. So Mike, let's go. Sorry, clocking in late. Damn, can't even pick him up. Can't even walk home at 6. No worries, Mike. Hope all is well. Really enjoyed your show with Andrew last night. You guys ripped a bunch of these. With going 8 receivers, and this is why I take Chris Godwin. He might start the season slow, but again, I don't really care about that with the receivers that I've built out. So these injury risk guys, these suspension guys, I actually feel a lot better about them in this format because I only need their absolute peaks. Like same with like Rashee Rice, whether it comes down 4 games, 6 games, whatever matters. Like I know Rashee Rice has spike week potential. I haven't really taken him yet, but I'd like to see his price settle a bit more. But the point is, like, I don't need to count on Rashee Rice to be an every week guy for me. But if late in the year he hits my lineup 3 times, kind of like a Jaden Reed, same value concept. So let's see, coming up here, Fields is still there. Caleb is interesting. I have a ton of Drake May. I'm glad he went. You know what? I will take Caleb. I want more of him in this format. So 3 different quarterbacks, 3 different buys, all stacked up. Not that I felt like I needed to stack Hurts, but it fell right and worked out. 2 more picks to go. Why is it showing 4 quarterbacks for me? Oh, I messed up. I forgot I had Lamar and Hurts, so I totally messed this up. I was just playing in my head that I had Hurts and Kyler. I screwed that up big time. So we're gonna go 1 more receiver, 1 more tight end. Yeah, that is a my bad. We won't get too cute. I can't believe I messed that up. Let's go Goddard. And I will say, I don't think 4 quarterbacks is bad. I typically wouldn't do that when I have Lamar and Hurts. But I generally don't think it's bad. 1, it kind of bullies the room slightly. Everyone's can get 3 viable quarterbacks, but I theoretically could have 4 of the top 12. So that could be a great way to advance. I'm going to be a little thinner at receiver than I wanted. I totally messed this up. Not sure if I can go Bateman. Yeah, a little disappointed in myself. I'll go Bateman. It's a stack. He's got spike week potential. So yeah, definitely my bad there. Let me catch up with Chad as this draft finishes up, and we will get into the next, which I think we're going to do German Shepherd. I broke my big toe, and I had to take 3 weeks off from walking my dog. He wasn't happy. I can imagine. Mike, Steve is killing it with the info today. Appreciate it, Mike. I think the key to winning this contest will be a good RB room and the correct 1 to 2 scroll down wide receiver choices who are less field owned. Yeah, and I think the other reason, one thing why I also kind of took Goddard is just not going to be fully owned in this contest. Like he's not going to be 100% owned. I considered likely there as well for the same reason. And another one, particularly when I have Jaden, I'm taking Ertz. When I have Burrow, I'm taking Gesicki. But even unstacked, those guys can be top 10 tight ends that you're getting at a fraction of cost. And even some other later guys like a Strange has upside. Even Hunter Henry, particularly if you have May. So those guys are not going to come close to being 100% owned. So I really like taking shots at them. Jake Ferguson with Dak is another one. And then running back, I think handcuffing running backs, because if you handcuff, like say take a DJ Giddens, he's not going to hit your lineup. He's just not going to hit your lineup versus lead backs. But if you had Jonathan Taylor and Jonathan Taylor goes down, and it could be similar last year where it's just like 3 weeks in the middle of the season. Now, nobody did anything in replace Taylor last year, but maybe Giddens does. And say Giddens has a 20-point game, a 25-point game. That just can make you so unique. And then particularly if those end up being in the playoff weeks, that could be, you could have a 1% DJ Giddens in the entire field, much less of teams that made the playoffs. I mean, just somebody who's just not owned. And even when you get to the finals, just you could, of the hundreds of teams there, you could be the only one with DJ Giddens. And he goes off and you're golden. Like a good example last year, this wasn't week 17, but Tajay Spears had 2 really strong playoff weeks, 15 and 16, and helped people advance. But in this kind of format, even Tajay Spears is not going to be fully owned. So handcuffing a guy can really pay off. And that would have been a perfect one because Pollard was a really good throughout. Spears had those 2 big weeks, and that was kind of all we did. When did they release the Badge Bros Superflex? I would be crushing that right now. Everyone makes mistakes. Nobody's perfect. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I don't think in this, it's not necessarily bad. It wasn't my ideal. No, just totally lost my train of thought. But I'm going to dominate quarterback. I never will feel bad about dominating quarterback. If you're going to dominate a position, like dominating one of these onesies is very strong, because even the Jaden drafter, the Josh Allen drafter, I can't imagine they're going to have more quarterback points than me. Even if those 2 quarterbacks finish 1-2 in total quarterback points, I'm guessing my combo is going to be way ahead, considerably ahead of those 2. Now, can they maybe catch up because they have more receivers, running backs potentially? But it's not like I hate my rooms there as well. Turpin still getting RB buzz. What is your take on that? I think if Turpin is to hit value, it's going to be something like that. He's going to have some sort of combo role. Obviously, you're adding Pickens to the mix. You're adding a healthy Ferguson to the mix. I know people don't like Tolbert, but I think Tolbert does a lot of things, that teams value with his blocking, with his ability in the red zone, his size. Because Lamb, ideally, they want Lamb in the slot. So if they have Pickens and Tolbert outside, where does that leave room for Turpin? Do I think he will have some niche role? Sure. But his best advantage to being a true fantasy asset is just to get more touches like out of the backfield. And honestly, that is going to be the easiest way for him to also get explosive plays, because good luck with the linebacker trying to cover Kayvon Turpin. But if he's just lined up in the slot, slot corners can jam him, can do things. One, they're going to be at least somewhat in the neighborhood of his speed. But if you can get some crazy matchups of him coming out of the backfield on a linebacker, it's over. You could have some big spike plays. FK, that's a great point about running back. I did not like the idea of doing scroll downs much, but the handcuff idea is interesting. Yeah, I mean, there's very few running backs, because for an instance, even a guy like I really like in regular, like Austin Eckler, I don't think he's great in this format, because I think he's going to have multiple weeks of like 15 points. That's not likely to count when your running backs are, even if you waited on running backs and your running backs are in the, Isaiah Pacheco, DeAndre Swift, Aaron Jones, let's say those are your top 3 backs. I think it's tough for Eckler to count many times versus those guys. Now, a handcuff guy like a Tyler Algier, again, similar normal profile. He's going to have multiple 10 to 15 point weeks, but when he can count is if Bijan goes down. So that's what when I'm going to take those types of guys is typically in handcuff formats. FK, totally agree about tight end where it's lower volume, higher volatility. Yeah. So that's why I don't mind some of these elites who could have essentially wide receiver volume. And even if they don't, I do think last year they didn't. You essentially had the 3 Kittle, McBride, Bowers all finished at very similar point totals. And then they were very close to even the next tier, the Jonus, the Mark Andrews, those types of guys. This year, we could see 1 or 2 of them get to more like a 14, 15 point, half point PPR average, in which case then they would be, right around like top 10 wide receiver range, or at least right outside of it. What we saw last year, the top tight ends were like, in the 15 to 20 wide receiver range if you compare them. So with the upside potential of those three elites in particular, that's the way I want to approach it. Or then I'm doubling up mid-tier guys like Hawkinson and Ingram, or Hawkinson and Andrews, something like that. I will still do 3 tight ends, but I like not, if I can, I'd like to not have to do 3 tight ends. I've got a guy, JT Best Ball, in here. What up, Steve? How's it going, JT? Hope you're having a good day. JT, of course, always streams in the evenings. I'm sure he's got a show tonight. I feel like it might be with, I want to say it's with Fantasy Football Garage in Hartman, but I'm not 100%. Feel free to let us know in the chat. Yeah, always appreciate Mike Rob. So, not my favorite draft, but it will be my most unique draft, for sure. I'm going to jump into a German Shepherd now. Let's see where we are at the fill rate there. Might have to do these, way more of these. I was hoping to do a lot of these fast, just because I have so many slows still going on. We are at 13% filled. Jeez. Okay. They are going to have to, I don't think they're going to make this larger, but, when German Shepherd 3 comes out, hopefully they will drop like Hound Dog 2 with it, or the next Schnauzer. I think they need a couple things coming out at once, because this could fill within 36 hours. I don't think it's making it tomorrow midnight. So I've entered 4 slows. I am going to enter this the 20-second clock at 1:31 Eastern time, or I'm sorry, 1:33 Eastern time. And for anyone who wants to try and jump in, but these are clearly filling fast. And I will get back to the chat. So I will absolutely be focused on this the next day. But I do want to keep doing more Badge Bros. Real big fan of that. And a sprint and marathon. And it is 1:33. Let us enter. Not right now. It insta-filled. We got Who Hames in here. Did anyone else get in here? Nope. But appreciate Who Hames being in here. If anyone else is in here, let us know. If not, we're just going to have Who Hames and I run this room. So let's see. If you actually had to put your hard-earned money on the line, who's more targets and more yards between Loveland and Taylor? I know ADP is different, but taking all that out, who is it, Steve-O? I assume you're meaning Mason Taylor. I think it's Loveland. And even though Mason Taylor has a real chance to be the number 2 target earner, he might not be. I mean, Breece Hall could be the number 2 target earner. And you just have situations where like another wide receiver just, they're bad targets, but gets targets. And also Loveland is just going to be, which should be a much more higher volume passing offense. And so I think there's more targets that way. Even if Loveland's 3rd or 4th, he could still end up with more targets than Taylor. Assuming Fields is healthy, he's never thrown the ball 450 times in a season. So, that's kind of the upside case for him right now. If it's sub that, there's been times where he's been sub 400 and not even on pace for that, not even just because he missed games. So I would just worry. And it's the same, my issue with Garrett Wilson, like 30, even if Garrett Wilson hit that magical 30% number, 30% of 450 is not as impressive as 25% of 550, So let's see, we're coming up on our first pick. I'm at the 9 spot. Who Hames went with Lamb. And I am fairly even throughout here. I'll just take neighbors at 18.8. Oh, actually, yeah, that's Badge Bros numbers. I was like, that seems a little off. Yeah, that did not make as much sense when I read it out. But still, I'm fine taking neighbors. I'm pretty sure I have less of him than Nico. So, so coming back up on turn, we might go double wide receiver here, depending on what the room gives us. But obviously, these running backs at the end of the draft are also well in play, or end of the round. So Genty goes. He was slightly falling. London goes. I will take Henry then. So let me go to the board, and then I will get back to chat. So yeah, that's my take on between the two tight ends. I have plenty, like the difference in price is why I'm so high on Mason Taylor. If they were at the same price, I wouldn't have near as much. JT Bestball says they're on the Hartman channel. Good to know. Definitely have to check that out later. The froth for $5 contests and cheapers is insane. Yeah. I mean, I honestly think it's more like $10 cheap contest because the Poodle filled pretty quick also, and the Hound Dog $6. So that Dachshund filled a little lighter at $8. But that was also a 4 max. And the other thing with that is it having a different payout structure. Because I think that you didn't get money until the semifinals, right? Probably limited it slightly. We got our guy Emo, Cowboy in here, Tyler. Howdy, Steve. Hope you're having a good Thursday, Tyler. I know you guys got Typho Tower tonight. I think at 6:30 Eastern, if I'm not mistaken. So looking forward to that one. Hopefully you guys can console Eric because he's a Jets fan, but also I know he's big on Fields, which I am as well. Fields, I believe, is my second highest quarterback at this time. So I'm quite hopeful that it is nothing serious and it's just missed camp time. So we are coming back up. My 0.9% Garrett Wilson. This doesn't include slows. I know I've taken him some in the puppy too. That I've going slow, but yeah, I'm just lower on the Jets players just because I think their price is a little too high for me. But if Garrett Wilson falls, that becomes interesting. Yeah, you know what? I think I'll do it. That the ironic thing is, if for some, and I'm not hoping it because, like I said, I have so much Fields. If something happens to Fields and they have to go with another quarterback, presumably somebody they acquire, like say Jameis Winston, a Kirk Cousins, somebody like that, that's probably good news for Garrett Wilson because that's going to be way more targets. But I'm not banking on that. But my issue with Garrett Wilson is I always thought he should be going more kind of end of the third, early fourth. So him falling some, I'll take it and happily scoop that up. He could drop a $3.20 max. Yeah, no, pretty much. And we saw even last week where they had 5 different contests. The Schnauzer filled, it was like 37,000 entries filled within 2.5 days. The German Shepherd Superflex filled within 4 days, a little over 4 days. Rookie sophomores wasn't much longer. So really wild stuff. I will go Worthy. I just released my rankings. I forgot to upload them. But you can find them on the Fanspeak Substack. Just updated rankings this morning. Only moved Justin Fields down about a round. just because so much is unknown right now. But I do think I don't want to be taking him at his highest price, that's for sure. So that's the way I look at it. I actually moved Worthy up even more, so I'll take him there. I think Worthy should firmly be in the third round right now. We'll see what the final news is on the Rice suspension, but there's just a lot of paths to Worthy being very fantasy viable this year. Two hours before the Fields news, my Bulldog, and I took Wilson, but at 35. So yeah, I mean, Wilson there, I don't have a problem with it, even with or without Fields. It was so tough for me as him going as like wide receiver 15. He's really not shown that upside, and having Mike Robb 20% Fields here, man, that spooked me off Twitter today. Yeah, I mean, it's tough to see. You never like hearing those reports, even fracture toe. Even some Twitter doctors are saying it's not that big of a deal. Some others saying more. We'll see how it all comes out. Who said I'm bearish on Wilson, so felt extra bad. Yeah, I probably won't do Wilson much in higher dollar stuff. In that situation, I probably would have reached for Worthy or Kittle there, or Jaden over Garrett Wilson. I just feel much better about those guys there. But in $5, I do want some exposure to them. And coming up into, and then I'll go back to the board. With the Mixon news. I'm more bullish on Kamara, but I'm gonna take Rome. Like I mentioned earlier, I want a good percentage of him really hammering these second-year receivers, but it was an elite receiver class. So I feel good about this build to start with an anchor running back. Also gives me, another out. Particularly right now, Garrett Wilson, I don't see myself taking Fields, so I really only have, and I don't love the giant stacking option, so I really only have Mahomes and now Caleb. So that's a little frustrating, but we'll make it work, and always could do some other things with the tight end or other later receivers. I'm awaiting more Mooney news. Did something happen with Mooney? Let me make my pick and then I'll look. Oh, look. Leaves practice early. Oh, that's not great. Okay. Yeah, did not see that. Hopefully that's nothing serious. We got Reflect the Sun in here. Penix presser days said the coaches saw what he did at UW, might throw it downfield more. Paraphrase. And that makes sense. I mean, I think Penix has the strongest arm from that draft class. I mean, Mays is up there, and Caleb's just pretty good. But I think Penix had the strongest arm. I mean, it definitely wasn't Daniels or Nix, and I don't think McCarthy has that cannon. I mean, Penix just has insane arm strength. So I would love to see them throw the ball deep more. So not great news about Mooney, because Mooney's the guy that would fit that bill. So Huham saying he dove for a ball and didn't come back. So hopefully it's just incredibly precautionary. Because I don't have a ton of Penix, but I like the upside. I like London, Bijan, and Mooney. So I want good thing for the Falcons offense for sure. We have Huhames, who I'm sure he's going to be streaming later today at 5 p.m. Eastern on his channel. Not sure what his plans are. I wouldn't be surprised. But feel free to let us know, Huhames, if you already have certain plans. But new contest dropping, usually he jumps in on those. But always check out his channel on YouTube, as he does great draft. He's drafting now like 5 days a week, typically Monday through Thursday at 5, and then Sunday is like more of a night stream, like 7-ish Eastern, somewhere around there. So Williams is on the clock now. He just took Caleb Johnson. I'm not sure if that's a cry for help from Williams. I know he wasn't really in on him earlier, but no, I think he probably just looking to balance his exposures. And I will be up on 1. So Chris Godwin falling 10 spots. It's more than a little intriguing. I think I'm going to do that. You get a round of value. I want Mahomes, but I think he can come back. Do they have Rice? Oh, he does have Rice, so maybe he goes Mahomes. That was a risk, but we'll see. If I don't get Mahomes, no big deal. Um, 100% Steve. Yeah, hopefully Mooney's good. Yeah, the Falcons beat reporter 2 hours ago, but no updates sent then from Mooney. Appreciate that, FK. Yeah, I was getting ready for the show, catching up on drafts, so I missed that. All the players I like in this area got bad news. Yeah, it does feel like there's a lot of bad news. And yeah, Hazy, I guess it was, did go Mahomes. So maybe I should have done that, but I don't think I would have gotten Godwin back. We'll hit one of these 2 running backs. I will. I'll take Brian Robinson. I don't love it, but it's undeniable he's in a great offense, which I think Mason is as well. But and I should just get a little bit more exposure to him. Yeah, Steve, get those jokes out. Who's distract still do numbers for you both. Always appreciate you, Mike. 100% Steve quietly is a rap god. Yeah, exactly what I'm known for. So let's see. I'm at 0.350. When I don't get an elite quarterback, that typically is a lot of my builds. This is where I start looking at quarterback. Definitely a Baker as an option. Fields, not going to do that. So Baker falls back. I think that would be the easy pick. I have him ranked higher, and then it'd still be a value at ADP. But I do have him ranked. I mean, his 2 years in Tampa's offense, top 10, top 5. Yes, it's his 3rd offense coordinator, but they have even more weapons this year. The Tristan Wirfs thing, slightly worrisome, but I'm not going to get overly worked up on it. Let me go to the board here. And exactly, Steve walked. Yeah. Oh, I mean, Eminem, which I'm a big fan of, but that was more like late high school and early college when he was coming out. So, but always enjoyed Eminem, and still produces great stuff. And his career has been insane. He's like the Mike Evans of rappers, just every year. Every year he produces something. It's at least one hit. So Fields is there. That's disappointing. But what I will do is take Caleb. So I'd started early, high on Caleb. Lately, I've been noticing my number's been going down. So I'll take it there. And I already missed 2 of my quarterbacks and not going to take Fields. So, even I think, I don't know, right now I think Fields would have to fall to 1. And I think it's different. Like if you didn't have a lot of Fields and Fields falls like around past ADP, I think it makes sense. But like me that has a ton of Fields, not sure if I'm going to keep adding to it right now. We got Hartman in here, GM. How's it going, Hartman? I've been talking about my Tracy share 1.7%. I might need to add to that to balance this out. Meg will be appalled, but I think it would make some sense. And Tracy goes. I don't know if I want the Burden double stack. I will just take the team correlation with Scatterbo Neighbors. He's still falling a little bit, but I do think now that camp opens up, we're going to start to see positive reports from him. We'll continue to see probably positive clips from him. So I wouldn't be surprised if he starts rising again. I want him at least some in this contest. There's only 20 entries. I don't think I'll be 30% in this contest, but I want a couple shares of him. And just with Burton not practicing, I didn't want to take him there. Like, I'm still generally bullish on him, but don't want to get too over the field till we get better news. How far do you think Fields starts going? New Haim says 124 in his last one. I mean, right now, that's probably where I'd take him. I already adjusted the ranking slightly, but this is before we even get the full toe news. I'll probably drop him again to like the 120-ish range, maybe 125. I want to see kind of what the prognosis is. And look, sometimes these are wrong. We thought Hollywood Brown would be, maybe back for week 1 or miss the first couple weeks of the season. That obviously wasn't the case. But if we hear a prognosis that there's better enough chance that he's ready for week 1 or early season, I'll probably drop him to the 120s. If it's more than that, then start to get a little worried, particularly if it's like, first month, first 2 months, something along those lines. So Loveland there, I will take him. I just moved Loveland up in my rankings. Like I said, I didn't get a chance to re-upload those beforehand. But speaking of coach news, CoachSpeak Index and everyone else, I mean, the news is just super positive about Loveland. So he will likely start to rise. And so I'm glad to get some more of him right now. Another rookie that will rise, Kyle Williams, we're getting some good buzz on. Only at 1 quarterback. Never feel too great about that. At this point, I really don't have stack options. I'll take Kyle Williams. Go back to the board, and then I'll hit up chat again. I'm definitely more in on Scaboo. Tracy's talented, explosive. Yeah. For a while there, I was at like 4 or 5% Tracy. I just don't think I took him in a lot of recent things like the Puppy 2 and the Chihuahua, things of that nature. So I think my ownership had gotten really, really down of late. So I do probably want to be around 4% at least. I'm concerned about Fields playing in crappy turf and MetLife. That's always a concern. That I agree with Kicks. 4% minimum, Tracy. I agree. We got Fantasy Football Garage in here. Talked about it earlier. How's it going? He had the big win last night on Best Ball Jeopardy. And yeah, I highly recommend anyone to go watch. It's pretty entertaining. I need him week 1. I was in on Pitt Revenge week 1 game for a limb. Yeah, no, for a limb, that becomes very interesting. If it's even if it's a prognosis like, oh, he should be back by the end of camp or the end of August, you're still like, oh, could they hold him out week 1? So and this is honestly why I've kind of not been doing eliminators the last week or more. I think I maybe only done one. Just we're going to start getting these camp news, and some of them could be pretty much nothing in terms of the grand scheme of things. Like this Chris Godwin stuff, the Najee stuff even could end up being nothing. But what it does mean is they're probably less likely, as it wears on, they're less likely to be effective early in the year. It might not, Najee might still be one of the best RB2s in the league. Chris Godwin could still, play similar to role that he did last year. And which would be incredible value at his spot, but it just might not be early in the year. So that's something I do want to watch. We need quarterback, and I do not have stacks. So that is never a good feeling. I will pull up Bryce Young. I am higher ranked. Obviously could look to guys like Thielen, could look to like Jatavian Sanders. So there's just some backstack options there. We got Best Ball on Call in here. Always good seeing him in here. Thank you for the work ambience. Appreciate that, Best Ball on Call. Hope you're having a good day. Hope the field's concerns aren't too worrisome for you. Oh, boy. You know what? I'm going to take Stafford. I feel like I need more of a veteran in here. And even though I don't have Adams or Puka, there's some backstack options for Stafford that could make some sense. And I just think gives me, Caleb and Young can be more some ceiling plays. Stafford could be a pretty good floor play, good balance to the group. Williams, let's be honest, though, Fields is just going to run around, throw the ball deep to Wilson. No, it doesn't, but they could just be very cautious with them. I mean, similar to Russ last year. Russ, we got the camp news about the calf injury and then just lingered. If we didn't get that, Fields never would have started a game last year. And just kept lingering and kept lingering. So, and out of an abundance of precaution, that's why they even, there was a report like 2 weeks before the season that thought Russ would be ready to go. And then it was like, oh no, like we're going to be more, cautious. So that is something that I'm definitely going to weigh. And even more so because Fields' whole game is his foot speed. If he's got a dislocated toe, he's putting a lot more pressure on that. I mean, any quarterback is, putting pressure on their toes, their feet, but that's a lot more concern. So if it's something like they feel he's only 80% back to be week 1, they might hold him out, where if a quarterback like, even like a Trevor Lawrence or a Baker Mayfield had the same type of injury and was 80% for week 1, they might let him play and just be like, don't run around. Try to avoid that. CJ Stroud, another one, like he'll scramble a little bit, but his rushing is so little of his game where they could let him work through a toe injury. I will take Jerome Ford. Dowdle makes some sense, but I think Ford just makes more sense with the likely suspension for Judkins. So done at running back. One with the anchor, then kind of got some mid-tier and then some late. So feel good about that room. Quarterback room's fine. It's just not really stacked. Having great correlation or anything like that. I have some mini stacks throughout, like obviously, like Kyle Williams and Garrett Wilson, Tampa and Carolina and week 16, stuff like that. Derrick Henry and Kyle Williams in week 16. So, I think that will turn out fine. So coming up here, there's a few guys here I like. Need tight end help. Kate Otten just went. Mason Taylor. I think I will just pull up Sanders to make sure I get him. Actually, I'm going to pull up Arroyo. He's being pulled up more. He correlates some, and then I can wait and get Sanders in the next round. Hopefully. Also, Tutu. If I only get one of these guys, I get one of these. Or did Tutu go? No, there he is. So I'm not sure if I'll be able to get both. If I don't get both, not the end of the world. If I have an unstacked Stafford, I'm not going to get too worked up about it. Let's see. This summer's news cycle has not been kind to my bags lately. I agree. Some were not too big of issues for me, but others for sure. Donnie Murphy, I was late, but the 30th like. Keep drafting. Appreciate that, Donnie. Yes, I plan on keep drafting. I think we'll probably do another German Shepherd just since this thing's filling so insanely fast. Yeah. We got JT in here. Field stuff is very concerning for sure. Let me get to the board. Dante Thornton, just a side note, Dante Thornton, I did see more positive news that he's running with the one. Still not sure what to make with it, but I probably will be taking some more shares. I think I might be at 0 right now. I think I took him 1 or 2 rookie sophomores, but that's about it. Field stuff is concerned for sure. He's my highest guy. Only saving thing is 2 quarterback teams with him. He's the second with an elite, and that pretty much always been the 3 quarterbacks team. Yeah, and one of the reasons I am very 3 quarterback bullish is because if it were a case where he were to miss the first 5-6 weeks, I don't want that team to be dead. I want that team to be very much still alive so Fields can be, the hero down the stretch. And, I think even 2 quarterback teams with Fields could struggle in those weeks, even if they don't have a bye issue like week 5 or 6. Like it could just still be tough. So that is, again, one of the added benefits of having 3 quarterbacks, particularly, in general, but especially with guys like Fields has never played a full season. So, he's always at a risk to get injured. So Sanders went, oh, well, I'm not going to be too worried about that. And we will just take 2-2 here. 2 games with Taj Brooks. Definitely one of my favorite 17th, 18th round running back options. Don't need to run another running back. Jacoby Hunter is a stack, but I'll probably go one of these. I don't know if I want a triple giant stack, so I might go Freiermuth. I could throw Ferguson on, though. I'm already kind of thin with 2 rookie tight ends. I don't know if I want a third. I think I might just go with the veteran if he gets back to me. Same here, who aims, yeah. Jeff T, I got 2 minutes before back to work, just saying hello. Good to see you, Jeff. Hope you're having a good day at work. 18th round, got Tyrod, come on down. Yeah. I mean, I do think right now, if you're taking Fields, I would absolutely be slamming Tyrod in the 18th round for a third quarterback or even a fourth quarterback in some builds. Let's go Frymuth here. I think that makes the most sense, even though it's the same buy as Loveland. I think it's fine. There's a little risk there for Arroyo's not starting, but again, tight end's the least scoring position, so not the end of the world if for some reason I were to take a 0 there. And who I'm saying, and this is the issue, is with it happening this early, you could see them trade for Kirk. You could see them, the Jets trade for Winston. Like, and when I say trade, I mean like trade a 7th rounder or like swap a 6 for a 7th, something like that. Nothing major. You could see, maybe the Browns are just like total in tank mode and, let Flacco go back to New York, where he was a couple years ago. You could just see it. If it happens early enough and the Jets don't want to totally concede the season, they might go that route. Yes, the Rex Ryan toe jokes with the Jets, it just writes itself. Let's see here. We had Hames in this draft as well. So let me look at his team real quick. It's the final pick comes in, but I'm sure it won't show. Yeah. And then we will get into another draft. I think another one of these just, again, it's feeling ridiculous rate. So Hames went 3, 6, 7, 2, Dak, Herbert, Cam, Ward, James Cook, Caleb Johnson, Pacheco, Eckler, and then he took both of my favorite late round running backs in Brashard Smith and Taj Brooks. And I think Smith, Pacheco just getting a lot of that Chiefs running back production is smart. His Lamb with Dak, Devontae Adams, Travis Hunter, Trey Harris, QJ, Jalen Noel, and then Turpin, as he talked about earlier. I know he's big on Turpin. But then, 2 tight ends and with Bowers and Andrews, I mean, that, we're talking not just only tight end one upside for Bowers, but I mean, it's not going to shock me if Andrews is top 5 tight end again. So love that room. Really strong team. And this is something like I think you've Prescott and Herbert, 2 former top 10 quarterbacks, can easily get back there again. I know these are like my running backs, James Cook, Caleb Johnson. I think starting with those 2 is really strong. And then 4 other ones, including doubling up on Kansas City, is really good. And then Eckler's a bring back also. So plenty of correlation and reasons for doing that. And he went, the Chargers Dallas week 16. So he has that full showdown. Then going forward, you got like Noel to go with the Chargers, Eckler to go with the Cowboys stack. So he's got some week 17 coverage as well. So really, really well-built team, as we always expect from Hames. All right, I'm going to do another German Shepherd. Let's get back to it. Appreciate everyone for jumping in here, liking the episode, all the comments and questions, and for joining in the draft. What are we up to now? This thing, every time you look at it, 17%. I mean, it's just at 13%. So 4% in like 40 minutes. This thing might not make Chad Candle's stream in the morning with the way this thing's going. All right. I'm going to enter at 2:10 Eastern to get another one of these in. It'll be my second fast, and I have some slows going. So 2:10 Eastern, I will enter, and we are good to go. And it is still 5-6 spots. It's going in fast. So hopefully you guys, anyone wanted to, got in here. But really big fan of the contest. I just pulled up here, 2 of 12, 2 of 10, 2 of 12, 124 seed final, 20 max, so $100 total, has a lower rake than a number of tournaments, not the lowest, but lower. And yeah, doubling your money just for making playoffs does feel nice. It's a good way to help your ROI not be near as much risk. So I'm in the 9th spot. Legion's in here at the 6th spot. Let's see, did anyone get in the 12th spot? Not that I recognize. So it looks like just Legion and I in this one. So I'm in the 9th again, basically where I was last time. I'm trying to mix it up a little bit, not have the exact same build. Now that I have the regular tournaments, and granted, this is not any of my current slows. I know I've been trying to get the Jefferson exposure up, so I've taken him in more slows, particularly like the Puppy 2 and Chihuahua. So, kind of flat ownership percentage across the board in the first, 2 rounds. Nothing. Tyreek Hill and Rice are the only ones, and I was lowering them from the get-go. Did start taking them some, but now Rice is falling, so I'm sure we'll get some of them later when his price settles. I'm going to just kind of wait until the suspension news comes through. We got Best Ball Guy in here. Hey, Steve, how's it going? Or hey, Eric, how's it going? We've been talking about the Fields news. I know, he's my second highest quarterback. I think he might be your highest quarterback. So good luck. We're all hoping here. It's nothing serious. And really enjoyed, speaking of Best Ball Guy, he had Meg on 2 nights ago, and last night, or yesterday afternoon, he had Pat Green on. That was a really good show. Really recommend everyone to go watch that as well. He will be on with the 2 Tylers tonight in Typho Tower. So keep an eye on that one for sure. I believe it's 6:30 Eastern. Neighbors is the top option. So this time we're going to go Nico. Yeah, we'll go Nico. Let me hit some other chats. Who aims appreciate the draft. Appreciate you jumping in always. Putt Daddy, hope get your German Shepherd shares today. Yeah, this thing is filling fast. I need the Mooney update on the clock for 5 hours in the slow, and I need to take. I'm patiently waiting. That is the one nice thing about slows. You can wait to react on some of this news for sure. Particularly if it's like things like we get an all clear. Like if they need more testing, sure, you have to make your pick, but you have a little bit more ability there to manipulate the clock. It took Henry last time. I'll probably take Genty or London. I'm just lower on AJ Brown. I do him ranked lower, and that's why he doesn't fall to me where I want to take him. I'll take Genty. Yeah. We got Paul in here. Yep, good to see Paul. Is the German Shepherd going to fill tomorrow? I mean, it absolutely seems that way, Hartman. I mean, it's almost 20% in 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Probably will be at 20%. And, it's like I said before, it's only 22,000 entries. So you only need, and I don't think 1,000 people are maxing it with 20 entries, but 1,000 people do, and it's basically over. But you will start to see, obviously, people who hit that 20 limit. And some people might already have. They might have just been like, okay, I'll do 20 slows. Like if I was busy the next couple of days, that's exactly what I'd be doing. And but I don't think it's going to slow down too much. And with them only releasing one contest and nothing else out there that's kind of similar, I do think people are just going to hit this one up pretty quickly. Yeah, I agree with that. I think Fields and Brees correlate better, honestly, than Fields and Wilson. I don't have a ton of Wilson. I have more Brees. I don't have a lot, but I think Fields and Brees correlate very well. So I do worry about that because while Fields will steal some touchdowns from him, he also just opens things up for running backs. Like mobile quarterbacks can, we see what, like Lamar helps Henry because when the defense has to account for Lamar, that split second, by that time, Henry's built up steam and he just bowls you over. And of course, Brees is a different back, but you give him that split second and he can just one cut and be gone, with his speed. So, yeah, I don't know how much I'm going to take Hall. I mean, maybe if Hall comes back to me at 33, I'm a little lower than my. Like I said, I need to get my most updated rankings in because you still have Rice up there at 26. Maybe I will take Hall here. Or I think I'm going to pull up Hampton, actually. I think that's a better play for me. And Hampton goes. You know what? I'll take JSN. I don't have a ton of him. I think he's a little overvalued in this format, much better in full PPR. But I want a percentage of him for sure. And I'll take him in something like this. One other reason that I don't like him is, or like him as much, is I don't love having my top two receivers with the same bye week. I do have my top running back and my second receiver, but when I can help it. So like when I've started like Puka, I don't love hitting JSN even though they correlate week 16. I probably should be more open to that, but just definitely a little leak in my game for sure. Yeah. Offense will be so stale without the quarterback rushing threat. Yeah, that is the concern. I do think, like from a volume perspective, like let's say they trade or add Jameis Winston, that could actually help a Garrett Wilson because they'll probably just throw the ball 100, 150 times more. And let's go here. I'll go T-Mac. Yeah. But what I do worry about it for Hall, just being in the red zone less, being, just drives, being effective less. Like I think it does hurt running backs quite a bit. I got Oppenstein here, about to make some lunch. Going to slap the like and watch it back at 1.5. There you go, Cody. Appreciate that. Always appreciate you. Enjoyed your stream last night. You were going down the different. And anyone who didn't watch, check out Cody's stream from last night. He, before he got into just some drafts, he was breaking down the different build structures for BBM over the last 4 years and like what's worked, what's been overutilized, and it's very easy to get unique because I think it was noted that the data that he had showed that only 5 different build structures through 10 rounds, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, through 10 rounds were used 5% or more by the field. And this is over the collective 4 years. But that just shows there's so many different build structures through 10 rounds that you can be at. So if you just change slightly, you can be totally different than the field. And for something like BBM or Puppy, that makes sense. Now, in something like this, it's smaller field, better advance rates. I'm not going to be as worried about that. But definitely if you're playing BBM, you're playing Puppy, even something like the mini Schnauzer or the big Schnauzer, the one that has a 100K prize pool, those types of things, I think that data is very applicable and just a way to make yourself slightly unique and be different. And again, if you're playing at volume, that doesn't mean do 150 lineups that way, but that means do 20% of your portfolio, because there you'll, and not the same one, but 20% of more unique builds, like say away from those top 5, And yeah, you'll just really have a different mixture. St. Jason is overrated. It's like saying water is wet. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. Like, I think he's going to get a ton of targets, good amount of yards. I just worry about the touchdowns. Cup has had a good touchdown role. I think the running backs are both going to be highly utilized. Yeah, he's just, and that's why I take so many elite quarterbacks in the third round, just because they're just so much safer. Those receivers could finish anywhere from, if everything breaks right, top 10, but so much more likely are they to be outside the top 15, even outside the top 20. We'll go Travis Hunter. Yeah, I mean, he's still falling into the late 50s. I think that's a good range for him. And I know the report today was like he'll get use on both sides, and everyone wants to freak out and react to all that news. End of the day, I think he's too good of a wide receiver to keep off the field. I've talked about before, even if his total offensive snaps are down, what we care about are his routes run. Like, what is he doing on passing, like clear passing downs, and when they generally plan on passing? Like, I think he's out there for all that. I think he's out there in the red zone. May not on the goal line, but who cares? Like, Brian Thomas isn't going to be highly utilized on the goal line. So I'm going to worry about what his route run percentage is. And I think that will still be pretty high. Is it going to be as high as like in Brian Thomas? No, probably not. But I think it will be enough that I'm not going to get too worried. We have Kicks in here. First on DraftKings last night. It's wild over there. Appreciate having your rankings. Thanks, Kicks. Yeah, no, just dropped those rankings earlier this week. It is definitely wild in the DraftKings streets. There's no question there. Let's see. I know he's injured right now. I'll take a falling Joe Mixon. I already have Houston. I'm kind of making this team correlated build, so I don't mind that. Wouldn't have minded Harvey or Henderson. Need to get more Henderson, but Mixon feels safer. Just saw something the Jets put out saying it's just dislocated toe and avoid anything more serious or missing a lot of time. Yeah, and that's just a question. Like, what does dislocated mean, especially for a running quarterback? Good news is it doesn't sound like anything even approaching season ending. Might not even miss a game. So that's positive news so far. We'll have to continue to see what that report is for sure. We got Putt Daddy in here. Hartman, I will not have many shares of JSN. I just can't click them. Yeah, and as you see, I'm the same way. And yeah, 100%. Veteran PPR. I definitely have more on DraftKings and drafters with you in the third round quarterback. Yeah, it's just those guys project well. Whether you are only going 2 quarterback or 1 and in a mid-tier, 1 and waiting on 2 late, it just feels good to have that position strong, to be, start off strong. Fields day to day. So that seems a very light report. I would be shocked with a dislocated toe if he's out there tomorrow or the next day. So to say day to day, it seems a little shocking. But it's probably good news overall. So I might not really adjust much. Like I said, before the news fully came in, I moved him down roughly a round in my rankings. I might kind of just keep him there right now. And we'll just kind of go day by day to see how he's utilized and what he's looking like. I'm sure a lot of it could be like a pain tolerance thing, but it's also like that is a factor. Let's see. Are you moving Evans up with the Godwin stuff? Well, I was already ahead of the field on Evans. Might move him up more. It's just that this range of receiver. I mean, I love Adams and T. Higgins. I like Worthy in the mix there. But Evans is right there as well. So I still think Evans is like in this like early half of the third round. All right. Godwin falling again, but I won't take him this time. I don't take a ton of Jane Reed. I don't want this all to just be guys I don't take a lot of. We will go Pollard here. Yeah. Yeah, no Mooney thing, definitely. Normally, that's who I would have pulled up, but I'm not going to do that right now. Mixon's always heard it, never stopped him before. Yeah, and it's similar to the Pearsall thing. Like, from what I've heard from some beat reporters, is they don't think the Mixon thing is a serious issue. They think he could be back soon. So, yeah, I'm not going to worry too much right now on that. I think I'm going to go. I'll go TJ Hawkinson. Just a pick, or actually he's right at ADP, but a little behind my ranks. I'm slightly ahead of him. He's a guy, a tight end I don't mind being over the field. I'm not there yet, but I don't mind if I end up there. Last year he, came back from injury, had good production, just had no touchdowns. I'm going to bet that changes. Calling it day to day. Mixon at 60 is borderline criminal. Yeah, I'll take the fall there. I got him at 64. I think Mixon at, like you said, at 60, we just know what he can do. I think the Texans offense should be better this year, even though I still have some worries about the offensive line. I just think as a whole, it's going to be a better offense, more scoring opportunities. We saw what he did a year ago. I'm not too worried about Chubb, not really worried about Woody Marks. To me, they just didn't bring in a ton of good competition. Sorry here. Do you take any Cam Ward? Let me bring up the board as I do this. Do you take any Cam Ward? Is there a particular tournament where he might work better? I take him some. I'd have to look. I'm at, 4 or 5% right now. What did I Cam Ward? 6.7%. So yeah, no, I take him a little bit. I think in smaller fields he's better. Just the problem about big fields is you also and not just like your weeks 1 through 14. That's roughly the same. But the playoff weeks, because the pods are bigger, you kind of need a better separating score. So is he going to get that 25, 30-point game, 35-point game? Probably less likely. So I don't necessarily like him as much in like particularly BBM or maybe a puppy. Puppies, I think if you're doing them at volume, I would mix it up just because you don't want to have the same builds every time. And then, of course, the finals are 375, 500 some, etc. Where the finals here is like 124, 125. So it's probably better in this kind of contest just because he can help you advance to the playoffs. And then, if he has like a 22-point playoff week in a 2 of 12 advancing or 2 of 10, that can work. Andrews would be interesting, but I'm going to take Shaheed. Don't have any week 11. So coming up in a couple, could use a quarterback, but truly nobody goes in this range. Like Herbert's later. Well, actually, J.J. McCarthy. That's the other benefit of Hawk. Probably will pass on my guy Cam Scatterbo here. And where did Tracy go? He went He wasn't even above ETN. Interesting. I mean, I love May. He's my highest quarterback, but we will, it's a little above ADP, but he's not coming back to me. I'll take McCarthy as my first quarterback with Hawkinson. I'm fine with that. And then I have, I probably won't do Stroud now because they're the same buy, but, Darnold, Young, Lawrence, all very viable. Did Worthy of anything analytically that makes you bullish, or is it more of a tape? I know ball take. Well, it was, I can't remember who it was. Ian Hart, it's somebody talked about, if you look at, Rice's games after week 7 or week 8, and Worthy's from their rookie seasons, games after week 7, whatever it was the exact same number. Their stat lines were very similar, and everyone, the response you get for anyone talking about Rice, why, the counterpoint of you can't extrapolate what Rice did in the first 3 games last year. They'll say, well, go back to his games post the bye, week 7 on, week 8 on, whatever it was that year, and they'll point to that production. Well, we're pointing to that production for Rice. Why aren't we pointing that to Worthy when Worthy actually even had more competition because he had somebody like Hollywood at the end of the year, in a small way. I mean, obviously Hollywood wasn't 100%, but so I just think Worthy, I like Rice and I like the role that he can do, but I also like the potential of Rice. I think Rice can do a little of that role as well while Worthy's out. And I think he, do we think that Patrick Mahomes just totally lost his fastball? Like, he totally lost the ability to throw deep? I know, the last couple of years it hasn't been great for him, but, people thought that with Matt Stafford and then Super Bowl run. People thought that with Tom Brady and then Super Bowl run and years with Tampa. Like, I just think sometimes we think that is no longer in a quarterback's game, and I don't know why we think that with Mahomes. I mean, we know his arm strength, so I'm going to believe that him and Worthy having a full, total year together and everything can get on the same page and be a highly effective combo. And then I think with the potential Rice missing time, he's just the guy. There's nobody else on the team, Hollywood to an extent, but nobody else on the team can really do what he does. I'm going to take, I'll take Trevor Lawrence because I'm sure there's the BTJ drafter. So, as much as I wouldn't have minded tight end or even Hollywood, not really taking much to it. And as you can see, I'm only at 2%. And this is in like 350 completed drafts. So I have plenty more slow going. I'll make my pick, then I'll get back to chat and go to the board. See, I'm probably going to take a second tight end and just be done if Warren or Loveland are there. Well, I like later tight ends. I also like being done at 2. If Warren's not, then I'll pivot. Don't think I'll go Stroud, and do need to start getting higher in Stroud. I think this is where the issue is. When I take Nico, I end up being done or not looking at the position. So that didn't pay off how I wanted it. I will take Hollywood here, just get a 6th receiver. All right, let's go back to chat. This is an excellent Todd Bowles quote. We want Baker Mayfield to play his game. We just want to cut that interception ratio down. No, and it's fair. And the other thing with Baker, again, I think some of those interceptions weren't necessarily his fault because he was dealing with so many receivers in and out of the lineup. I can recall at least 1 or 2 where I would not have put the blame on him. Like, just seemed like the receiver ran the wrong route. Kick saying, thanks, Steve. Just heard people talking up the Titans O-line. Love the Titans O-line. No, I'm very bullish on Titans in general. And I think Ward can be a fine quarterback. Just, I don't know if he's got big-time spike week upside. I think you get a lot of 20-point games, maybe just not those 30-point games. Mahomes lost his confidence midseason on deep ball last year. He'll get it back on. Yeah, that's what I think. Like, he's too good. And I didn't. And Leo, I didn't sleep on Hollywood. I took him as well in this draft. Only 350. That's just in regular contest, and that doesn't include about 200 slows I have going from the little Dalmatian, Puppy 2. I still had about 10 Chihuahuas going, some Pit Bulls. Of course, all the Dalmatians and Bulldog, those 5 contests were all done slow. So I have about 200 regular contests going slow. So in a week or two, particularly with them launching more stuff, that'll be well over 500. Not to mention Mahomes was running for his life on half the plays. Yep, that part too. And I think they solidified the line some. Particularly, it sounds like Simmons is ready to go. I think that's so big for Mahomes, and especially from a deep ball perspective. And I know it's late in the Super Bowl, but it's still the Super Bowl, and it's still worthy just torching the Eagles secondary. Sure, like the game wasn't on the line or anything like that, but we know that club is in their bag. And I just think they're going to utilize that more and more this year. I'll go receiver here. White and Eckler are my top 2 guys. I'll go White. Are you drafting any Kincaid? I have a little bit. I need to see where I'm at. Kincaid, 3.8%. Yeah, I haven't drafted him much lately. I know of a couple slows I've taken him in, but not much. Another guy probably want to be around 5-6%. He's just tough on mid-range. Like, I like the tight ends above him, like the Lovelands, Warrens, Kraft, Moore, even Ferguson got it right in that range. And then I like these tight ends below him, like Strange, etc. And speaking of Strange, I will go down that road. Could stop at 2 tight ends. Very well could add a third. We'll see how this plays out. So that's how I generally like to draft. Right now I only have 2 quarterbacks. I'd feel okay with 2, but I am ideally going to want to add a third. We'll see. Sorry, King, didn't mean to offend your adventure. No worries. But just wanted to clarify because I am definitely drafting volume this year, even more so than last year. Last year I only had 400 plus regular contests and then like 200 plus super flex and everything else. And well over that this year. He's torching the Eagles in my second place team playoff basketball at the same time. Ooh, that's tough. They didn't trade up with Worthy so they could be a run first offense. Yeah, no, I agree. And I've talked about this before. I think there's just a lot of positives, and I want more Mahomes in general. I'm starting to take a more, you just had a situation where, of course, Rice and Hollywood down early, and then even one of their replacements, they picked up Juju right at the end of camp, and then he has like 1 or 2 big weeks, and then he gets banged up. So it's basically just the Xavier Worthy show, who has an elite skill set, but is not like the most refined rookie receiver. This was not Malik Neighbors. So just not ideal. And of course, Kelsey was starting slow and all that. And then their offensive line's a mess. Their defense is elite. I think their offensive line is better. I think their defense takes a step back. And I just think their weapons are going to be so much better this year, even with the suspension of Rice, whatever that ends up being. think they're in such a better spot. I don't take a lot of Tank Bigsby, but he fell. This seems like a good team correlation, falling value. Let's see where we're at quarterback. It is just down to Daniel Jones and scraps. I mean, could always throw on Shuck. At the end, still think he probably ends up with the starting job there, but that will not be my next pick. So looking more at wide receiver. Don't know if I need to keep stacking up Jacksonville. Wouldn't mind Alec Pierce, Hopkins, Slayton. Maybe I take a Thornton share. Let's see. So it's going to be up for a while. Yeah. I might not. Pierce goes, damn. You know what? I will take my first Dante Thornton share. I don't think I even have any slows, so I think we're going 8 receivers here. It's a team correlation bet. And I do think the Raiders offense is going to be pretty improved this year. There's some like week 16 correlation built in there. I mean, I'm not too overly worried about that, particularly in a smaller contest like this, but it doesn't hurt either. When I get Chase or Jefferson, I like to target Rice if he's there late. Chase and Jeff can carry the wide receiver early until Rice gets back. Yeah, the one thing I'll say is if it does end up being 6 games for Rice, then Jefferson's bye week is week 6. So you'd be without, 2 of your top receivers early for that week. And that, I think, can be tough. To be honest, if Worthy Mahomes takes off at the beginning of the season, Rice comes back the middle of the field, oh, for sure. Yeah, and vice versa. If Rice starts eating in the middle of the field again, those safeties have to creep up, and Worthy's going to get some one-on-one. And let's even when Rice went out, we saw games where Mahomes just missed Worthy last year. Like you said, I think between the offensive line issues, between him, just not being on the same page and confidence, but Worthy was getting open. So yeah, I just think there's a lot of ways that either one of those could succeed. So all my other receiver options go. Could tack on like Rashard Smith. My guy Taj Brooks, I'm only at 4.1%. That seems unacceptable. I don't need it, but I don't hate it. Yeah, I'm getting him. He's rarely going back at the end of the 17th round anymore, so I'll take a shot on it. And then we will either do Shuck or receiver. There's some worry about Dante Thornton, but I do like the top of my receiver room so much. I'm not too concerned. So I still might go Shuck. It's stacked. Makes some sense. I have a Tennessee bring back. Just enough justification, we'll say. I just like having 3 quarterbacks, especially 2 guys coming off injuries. I think having some depth has value. Yeah, let's see one more pick. And all right, we will go Tyler Shuck. Let's get back to chat. That was my big bet last year. I could see it being true again. Are you scared about Fant visiting Cincy? No, I mean, one, I think it would be kind of shocking if they pay him money when they have the Hendrickson and Shamir Stewart thing going on. And also they gave a lot of money to Gesicki, so I wouldn't love it if he ends up signing there, but yeah, I'm not gonna get too worried. I assume with your 101 rate, you're about 16% chase. I think it's, I mean, people aren't gonna like it. I'm at like 12%. Yeah, 12.5%. So I'm like 1.5 times the field, and I think I've only gotten him maybe at the 102 once or twice. So it's not even like it's stacked there. Yeah, I need to get my Taj Brooks numbers up. And this I don't get. Why is Shipley available every time at 190? I mean, the most clearest of clear contingent value plays. I'm not worried about AJ Dillon. Beat writers aren't worried about AJ Dillon. Beat writers are talking up Shipley. I don't know what it is. Yeah, I mean, Fant got cut. I think, look, I think there's a couple of teams where if he signs, there's just already enough questions built in at tight end. I think Kyle Pitts still goes in the top 25 tight end. So if the Falcons were to sign him, that wouldn't help him. But yeah, I think wherever he signs, it's probably in a team that already needs tight end help or it's questionable. Miami would make a lot of sense. When we just saw Darren Waller go on PUP already. There's no money tied to Darren Waller, no guaranteed money. So that could easily end up being Fant's job. But even other ones, like if he were to go to Titans, Carolina, Giants, like some of these teams who were drafting late to begin with, Texans, it's definitely bad news for the current starter just because their grip on the role is much less. But I'm just going to bet Gesicki. The Bengals offense was at its best when Chase, Higgins, and Gesicki were all playing. We saw it week 18. We saw it down the stretch after Eric All went down, and only one of those games Higgins missed. Burrow shouted out Gesicki, and they paid him. So, which is something, as we see, the Bengals do not do. Huheim's 100% agree. FK, yeah, I'm with that as well. Way to hate all my rookie Pitts cards, Steve. Yeah, those are interesting collector's items. All right, I think I'm going to do another draft. It's almost 3, but I want to get these German Shepherds done. So I'm going to do one more. These things are filling at an insane rate. I'm going to have to throw in some more slows, but we're already at 22%, 22.4%. This thing, yeah, Chad, if you're listening, if you're hoping to do this tomorrow morning, good luck. I don't know if it makes it to you. All right, I will enter at the 2:49 Eastern time mark and get another one of these going. Then I'll have to do some slows and I'll probably be drafting some more. So appreciate everyone joining me in the chat, everyone liking. 2:49. Let's go. Let's enter. No notifications. And this snap failed, so not sure if anyone got in here. Huheim's did. Appreciate you seeing in the lobby. That is it among teams that I recognize. I moved up a couple spots, went the 7th spot this time. But yeah, this is going to be hopefully Underdog will release a tournament tomorrow with this filling in a day, in 30 hours, whatever it ends up being. That'd be my hope, is they release something else with because clearly people want it. And even if it's a little bit more, even if it's like a pug or a poodle, just something, even if it's a lower max, like a hound dog, I think it's clear people want it. I think it's clear it will fill, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see another like 20 max Schnauzer, kind of like Huheim said earlier. They could release the Schnauzer 20 max every week and it'll fill, and he's 100% right. So Who Games is in here. He got the 2, so he got the luck that I get on his streams in mine. So I'm just repaying the favor, Who Games. He goes Jefferson. I'll be up in a few picks. Picking at the front in all of these. Oh, that's nice. It's nice to have that. And even for a time box tournament like 20 max, if you have that where you have like, half your picks, 10 of your picks in top like 4, like that can be really cool. Get some different combos. Lamb falls to me at 7. That is a pretty easy call for me. I did too many stream drafts pre-draft, so I selfishly try and find the softest pots now. No, I get it, FK. I almost brought up Nico, and that can be the other thing you do is just like get unique for 1 or 2 of them if you've had a repeated, the same range. So nothing else really changing in this. Just the McCaffrey being brought up to 5. Goes pretty much down the board after that. And we will see what's there for me when I come back. Let me check out my combo tool. Lamb. I have the most with. Wait, I have the most with Nico. Oh no, I'm sorry. That's available. Yeah, no combination. So I have 10% with Lad, 33% with Devontae. That's a little later, obviously. Once with London. Running backs, very little H-hand, ton of Jonathan Taylor. Yeah, I should probably, if Jonathan Taylor's there, I should probably not do that. So we'll try and get something more unique for me. Probably do London or A.J. Brown. Let's do A.J. Brown. Fortunately, they don't play each other in the playoff weeks. But I need more A.J. Brown. And that's partly the reason why I take him with Lad. 1, I love Lad's value. And 2, they correlate that week 16 game. I did one with Steve, was a softer pod, then did one without. It was like Kings and all red patches. I came back here. Yeah, well, that's the thing. These are filling so fast that it's going to be just constantly a lot of badges. This one, 1 or 2 extra badges. But it's going to be hard to get in, with others. Because, it's already... we've been on for this last draft for a couple minutes. It's probably near 25% filled. This thing launched less than 3 hours ago. Absolutely wild. All right, let's see. Coming up. Sure, I don't have McBride with him, but I doubt he'll still be there. I do. I don't think I'll take a Garrett Wilson. Let me go Josh Allen. Here. going to go Josh Allen. Doesn't correlate with Lamb, but he does with A.J. Brown, and just also has quarterback one upside. If peeps are lower on Barkley, should we be higher on Brown? Philly has a harder schedule this year too. Yeah, I'm not lower on Barkley, so that's part of my issue. My thing with Brown is like, if we're talking top 10 talented receivers, definitely in the mix. The problem is the volume on this team is just so limited. They are not going to throw as much. They're still a good defense. It is a harder schedule, so maybe they need to throw a little bit more. But even in games where like Devonta Adams or Goddard missed, there were plenty of games where Brown just was very average, like 15 points, something like that. And it's just tough for where he's going in the second round. Just the other receivers around there probably are going to have more volume. Their offenses are going to throw the ball more, so there's even more potential for volume. But at the same time, he's super talented with a very good offense. It could, maybe things just break his way and he's got another like 14 touchdown year or something crazy like that. So I'm very tempted to actually do double elite, just because that's clearly going to be unique. So James Cook goes. I think I will just take Worthy. To me, it's just such a value. Like I said, I have him near ADP, or I'm near ranked around 30 right now. I'm getting him a round after. That's pretty good. Should have always been high and Brown with this price, Leo. Yeah, it's just a tough range for me because, one, the running backs right behind him, like Taylor, Bucky, Jacobs, are going to project for more points, and the receivers right there, even if you don't count Rice, like Tyreek, they'll probably throw the ball a lot more. Higgins, even as the number 2 in his team, the Bengals are going to throw the ball, 200 times more than, almost 200 times more than the Eagles. Burrow is way more likely to have 35 to 40 touchdowns again. I just don't know if Hurts is going to get to 30, much less even 25. So it's that kind of concern. Playing the Eagles through Devonta and Shipley. Yeah, I mean, the couple round discount on Devonta is nice because while I do think there's a difference in talent between the two, their target share is not too crazily different. And I like doing that as well, but I'm pretty bullish on Barkley. Let's see where I'm at on Barkley. Yeah, 12.8%. So coming up into, don't have a running back yet. Not the biggest Hubbard fan. Might go down that road. Kamar goes. I'll go Hubbard. Between him and Mixon, I took Mixon last time. That brown cold water really hurts, Steve. No, and it's not necessarily cold water. It's just, I think I have a tough time honestly seeing like Higgins and Devonta Adams. I mean, these two receivers, are insanely good in their own right, and they're just in offenses that should throw the ball a lot more. I feel like even better touchdown equity. I mean, especially Devonta Adams. So it's just tough. It's not a knock on his talent. I honestly worry about the ceiling case. I think the floor in the mid projection for AJ Brown, very strong. But the ceiling case of him being like a top 5 wide receiver, I think a guy like Higgins has better outs. I think a guy like Devonta Adams has better than that. I think even Tyreek, even though he's way more volatile, Like he doesn't have the same floor case as AJ Brown. His floor is much lower because Tua and the offense could totally tank. He could tank. He could have off the field issues, etc. But I think Hill has a much better chance of being like a top 5, top 8 receiver. So I get Connor back. Henderson, Connor. Probably can't get both. I'll go Henderson. Assuming Chef Keith, and he takes Connor, so he makes the decision even easier for me. But no, Henderson, they played Buffalo. That wasn't a big thing, but honestly, just need more exposure to him. And May could be a number 2 quarterback. Yeah, I saw that with Mike Clay, like 1,300 yards for AJ Brown. I don't know if I see it. I think the Eagles, because like 2 years ago, he had a good year, right? But it was also the Eagles weren't as good. Let me just bring up his stats real quick. So, AJ Brown last year in 13 games had 97 targets, almost 1,100 yards, 7 touchdowns. I mean, good numbers. And I get like he didn't play 4 games, so nobody played the final game. So it's only 3 like injury games that he missed. Yeah, I guess it's just that was also with so many other injuries to key guys. Like the 2 years before with Philly, 1,400 plus yards, one almost 1,500, 11 touchdowns, 7. So I guess it was, I think I had it mixed up in my head. I thought he had double-digit touchdowns last year, but I guess it was the year before. I want to get the ownership of him higher. I don't want it to be 2% like it's at, but at the same time, I don't think he'll be a guy I'm overweight on. So not really a fall, but I will take Shakir with the stack. The Week 17 correlated game at ADP, 4th receiver, feels good. Shakir, they gave him good money. Even if he's not out there in every 2 wide receiver set, I think he's going to lead the team in targets. Mixon drafters will be disappointed when Chubb gets 8 to 10 carries a game with some goal line work. Yeah, that would be bad. But hopefully that's not the case. But we will absolutely see what that new offense looks like. Let me go to the board, see where Huheems is at. Huheems started. Jefferson, Adams, Mike Evans. I love that start at wide receiver. Kenneth Walker, Jalen Waddle, Dave Montgomery, Jerry Jeudy. Yeah, really good. I'm lower on Jeudy in general, but he's started to slide some. So I'll start getting him more now. I expect he will still continue to slide in the coming weeks. I don't see, his ADP rising. So I think now is the time to start buying Jeudy. I don't think he slides majorly, but maybe to this like Shakir Higgins range. It's tough for me because I like the Green Bay guys ahead of him. I do like Myers ahead of him, and I like Josh Downs considerably ahead of him. I just worry about the Browns. Like, even if Flacco starts, how long is he truly playing? So coming up, Pittman. Running backs drying up. I have 2 same buy. Let me take Jordan Mason. Him and Jones going back to back. Jones was falling, but I just still would rather Mason. I think he's a better safe guy. Yeah, no, I like that. I mean, Adams is moving up. I'd take Adams in the front half of the second round or third round to begin with, or second round to begin with, and then to get Evans. Or I'm sorry, I take Adams like at the turn to begin with, and I don't think taking him where he did is bad. And then I have Evans, like I said before, as like a top 36 guy, or 30 guy. So I think getting those three, you've had the potential for 3 of the top 12 receivers. That feels like a good start. So 1, 3, 4 through 8 rounds. Coming into the 9th round, Julian's about to make his 8th round pick. It's been interesting. We've had a lot of camp news and suspension stuff like that, but still a lot needs clarified with the Judkins, Addison, and Rice situations. Injury wise, the Mixon, the Ricky Pearsall, a few of these other guys. A lot of it's one of those things. We have a lot of news, but not a lot of certainty yet. So we're just kind of reacting, not blindly, but we do need to weigh like best case, worst case scenarios for all these situations. The Buck stack, when in the 12 hole is there, gets Evans in third, then back-to-back Buka, Mayfield. I'm not sure if I've ever done that. I've definitely taken Mayfield to stack with like Evans in the back half there. I'm not super high in Buka. I want another guy I want to start getting more of. Speaking, no, I can't. I already have multiple. I'll take Cooper Kupp. Another guy I could just use a little bit more of. Not that I want to do that entirely with these drafts, but do need to balance out the exposure somehow. It's a different buy than the other guys. So no real overlap outside of the 2 week 10s. And if Cooper Kupp is healthy, he probably pretty easily outplays that ADP. If not, then it's trouble. But at the same time, he's my 5th wide receiver, so I don't think it kills me. The longer Keenan goes without getting signed, does that make him move up less and less once he's officially signed? Signing would be late and to get a report, which could lead injury with less ramp up. Well, I think it's also going to keep his ADP depressed because it's not like he was going 0. Like every now and then, I'm sure he goes undrafted, but he typically is going, he has a draftable ADP. So same reason why, even though like look, it's been a week with the Judkins news essentially, right? And his ADP's fallen 20-ish spots, but it's not like it honestly should probably crater even more than that. It's just when you already have had so much of a ADP built up, it can take a little bit to rise and fall because let's say he signs with Chargers. Just I don't think many people are just going to off the jump going to be drafting him in the 12th round. I'll go Evan Ingram. Maybe we'll go to a 2 tight end build, but that was a bring back to Worthy. It's kind of my thought process on it. Again, I would have taken Tracy if I didn't already have 2 week 14 buys. But so my guess is, he signs with the Chargers. I just think the first people who start taking him higher will be like 14th, 15th round. So start to creep up, and then it'll creep up a little bit more. So the longer it goes, the ADP is more set in stone. where it's one of those things why Dobbins was able to move up so much was, only 15% of drafts or 20% of drafts. So, but now with so many more drafts done, his ADP more firmly locked in that place, it will take a little bit more for him to move up. It will be more incremental, is I guess what I'm saying. I've done that. Oh yeah, to the Baker double stack. Yeah, I mean it's interesting, and I do want to get more in Buka. John got traded, and all of a sudden was tight end 26 in like 2 days. These people are wild. Well, I think there, and that is a good point. But I do think there is you have some people who just like don't draft him, and so he has these massive falls. I think it can be. I think it can be the further deeper you go. Now, if it's tomorrow, the ADP will move quickly. But if it's like a week or two from now, again, just more and more drafts get happening. That ADP is more firmly in place. And I guess it depends on how big of swings people start taking on it. Like if it's just like a great landing spot, then yeah, maybe people do start taking them in like the 12th round. So let's see here. Boy, I do not like this range. I will take Christian Kirk. Don't have a lot of him. The whole slot demon stuff, whatever it might be. Just might be a guy that contributes early. I'm okay with it. Not my favorite pick. It does open up Stroud if he gets back to me in a few spots. I don't really have any other. Dak already went, and Darnold would be late. So ideally, Stroud gets back to me. If not, I will pivot and probably go running back here. Yeah. But we will see what gets back to me. Oh, Waller. Yeah, Waller. I think that's also because he wasn't being drafted at all. So there was like zero ADP built in. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't know exactly how that works, but I do wonder if it was a situation where Waller had been consistently being drafted in 17th round instead of just being undrafted. Because do their ADPs, do they take us? I know it's listed as 215. I'm actually not sure how Underdog does that. Like, does every undrafted guy for every draft not done just take like a Gabe Davis? Is he taking a 216 every single time? And then there's a couple 100,000 drafts that he needs to start catching up with. That I'm not sure. And Stroud unfortunately goes. Probably going running back here. Yeah. We'll go Ray Davis. I like the Ray Davis pick. So, Hugh Hames gets JJ with JJ. Always a fun combo. Took Baker earlier with Evans. So, really like his quarterback room. Gets the guy Scattaboo. And yeah. So that will be interesting to see how quickly Keenan moves up. But I think a lot, like the people who are saying like, oh, he's not signed yet, this means he's not going to sign. I don't think so. I think all along he's going to wait till camp. The guy's been in the league since 2014, right? 2013, 2014. Like he doesn't want to deal with camp. He's probably waiting for a good landing spot if there's an injury. I mean, knock on wood, but we just saw with Mooney. Like, if something happens there, may the Falcons come calling. I'm not too worried that he hasn't signed yet. Like, if he was firmly going to retire, he definitely would have done that already. Same with Cooper. My guess is they're just picking their spots. I think they end up signing somewhere. I don't think they don't play this year. So coming up, I really could use another quarterback. To go Bryce Young. I can't. He goes. Don't really have good backstacking options for guys like Penix and Tua. But if Penix falls around past ADP, I think I have to consider it. At least with Bryce, I could say Chuba, but that doesn't work anymore. So Penix does not go. I will just take a receiver here. We will figure out quarterback later. The one benefit of having an elite is at least I can hopefully rely on Josh Allen. But yeah, this is getting ugly fast. So we are coming up in a few picks. Algier, I didn't think he'd make it back. And again, I didn't get Penix, but I have like 2 shares of Kyle Pitts, and I'm pretty good with that. I saw him working out with the receivers or whatever today. I'm not gonna be too in on Kyle Pitts. I mean, I'll get more than 1 or 2 shares, but just, yeah, I just can't get fooled again. So I'm going to draft more Stafford for another excuse to take Jarquez. No, I just really think Stafford and the Rams, I think their entire offense could be A, better, but 2, also maybe lean more to the passing game now that they have a true second weapon. Last couple of years, both Kupp and Puka missed significant time last year. Offensive line was at one point down 4 starters. It made sense why Kyron got such a large work share. Okay, we are back up. So Tua falls. I will take Tua. I mean, there's no stack that I like. I mean, maybe NWI. But it's not. Just honestly, it's for, you give me a guy 13 picks past ADP, I'll take it when I need quarterback depth. And unfortunately, Buffalo, Miami don't play in the playoffs, but we'll make it work. Really sounds like Steve is you want that. Yeah. No, I want a lot of Penix. Not going to have much Chubb, but yeah, no, I know it is. The jokes will just write themselves this year, that's for sure. Hartman saying, "Who aims? You shouldn't need an excuse to draft more Jarquez." Yeah. Where am I at it? Hunter. Jarquez, 7%. Feel pretty good for a late round guy. So I'm at 2-4-7-1. Not my ideal build by any stretch. Probably will look to tack on a tight end here. A few guys, Jonnu, who keeps falling. I honestly don't get why he's in the 170s. I will not be taking Darren Waller. I will pretty much guarantee that. John is there. I would just take him. I have a ton of Ertz, and yeah, I just feel like Jonnu is going to potentially be the number 2 option in this offense. And of course he goes. We will take Ertz. I would rather Jonnu by a fair margin, but we pivot. So we can catch up in chat, pull up the board. Who aims? Oh, already read that one. Hartman, 25%. Wow, that is a lot of Jarquez Hunter. Everyone, remember, you are looking live. Yeah. No, that was Brett Musburger, right? Who were you at with Quorum then? Or wait, was that Brett Musburger or? Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Sorry. I'm down at Quorum. I'm not at 0 like Kuhames, but I'm pretty low. And Meg checking in. That's right. 15 more YouTube subs, and we are giving away a free month of Best Ball Overlay at 750 YouTube subs. We will also give away another free month at, I believe, 800 YouTube subs. So help us get there. And you can be entered for a free month. And, whether you're already a paid member, you can, just get a month off. Or if you haven't given it a shot yet, you get a free month to try it out. So either way, it can benefit you. Mike Robb, not happy with the 0 quorum. And New Hames firing right back. No, Mike, you did not make us lose any subs. We appreciate you. Enjoyed seeing you on with Andrew Robb, the other Rob. That was a good show. You guys focus on Badge Bros because you didn't have this contest last night, which is good because if it was out last night, I wouldn't have it this morning. I think that's pretty clear now. So we are back, and quarterback just went right through. We'll take Kate Otten for a third tight end because Ertz and I realized after I took Ertz that Ertz and Ingram had the same bye, so needed a third tight end. Yes, Musburger, thank you. I thought my brain wasn't failing me too much. Anyone knows Pat Bryant falling one big catch in practice and back up? Yeah, I mean, I have a decent share of Pat Bryant. I am at okay, so I had 2 more picks left. But let's see where am I at? Pat Bryant, 7.2%. So I thought it was a little above that, but I'm okay with that number. Pretty sure that's another one that Who Heems is pretty in on, or has a pretty good number at. Where did he go here? He went Thornton, moving up. Pat Bryant went 160 in this draft. So Who Heems not quitting the Jarquez Hunter love. Not surprised. And yeah, he is very bullish on Bryant. I am as well. I mean, I think the chance that he ends up being the Denver wide receiver 2, maybe not second in targets. I think that probably is Ingram. I think Bryant could end up being the number 2 wide receiver in that offense for sure. Mike Robb, would we be cool to get a panel of like 4 streamers together on this network and have like 8 to 10 players? And yeah, no, that's a good idea, Mike. I mean, it's something we can try and do. That would be fun to just talk through some players and do a draft together. Maybe even a draft where we're all competing against one another. So coming up on 1. Yeah, I don't love my quarterback situation. But let's take a running back first. We'll just pull up Tosh. Overall, really not a fan of how this draft turned out. Tried to wait on my second quarterback. It just never panned out. And then, having 2 running backs with the same bye, I don't think it kills you, but it's not ideal. My receivers are strong, but I don't know if that'll be enough to carry me through. So this is definitely my least favorite of these drafts. Hopefully this helps you, Who Heems, because I'm not banking on advancing in this one. I will consider a quarterback. I don't have any like stacks or anything, but just a third quarterback to help ensure this team advances. Like I just, Darnold didn't come back, Rodgers didn't come back. So Yeah, quarterbacks went a little earlier in this one than I was expecting. Yeah, Darnold in the 14th. Wait, did Rodgers go even before my pick? Tua? Let me see. Where did Rodgers go? Oh, no, Rodgers went. Yeah, before I took Tua. Wow. That's one of the highest I've seen Rodgers. So I didn't even realize that. So we are up in 2 for, this will be the last draft. Did 3 of these German Shepherds, did a Badge Bros. Really appreciate everyone joining. Now I'll go over my team and go over Huhaim's team. Look at the tournament one last time before I get on out of here. Meg and I are on tonight at 8:30. Of course, check out all the other streamers. Beforehand, like Huhaim's, like the Typho Tower. I believe that's 5 and 6:30 respectively. And then there's late night streams. I think JT said he's on with on Hartman's channel tonight. So be sure to check that out. And a lot of new contests, camp news today, still things like the Badge Bros to do. A lot going on still in the Underdog streets. And hopefully we'll see more tournaments released tomorrow, because this, I don't think, will be still available. So my team, I'll just sum it up real quick. Allen, Tua, Daniel Jones, not ideal. Allen, I think, is built out fine, but that's about it. Hubbard, Henderson, Mason, Ray Davis, Taj Brooks. I think running back's fine. Little, it's not going to feel great. I'm going to have a lead here when I hit week 14, because my top 2 backs being out that week is probably not my favorite thing. So I can't afford any injuries to Mason or anyone else. But yeah, Lamb, AJ Brown, Xavier Worthy, Khalil Shakir with the stack, and of course the Brown bring back Cooper Kupp, Christian Kirk, Romeo Dubs. Pretty good at receiver, taking 7 by essentially 150. And then 3 tight ends, the double same buy with Ingram and Ertz isn't fun, but Ingram is a nice little third option from a top tier offense. Let's take a look at Huhaim's team real quick. In the second spot, 3-6-6-3, Baker, McCarthy, Stafford, Ken Walker, Monty, Scattaboo, Taj Spears, Hunter, Ollie. So just really hammering the rookies to go along with some vets. 6 running backs in total, 6 receivers in total, because he started Jefferson, Adams, Evans, Waddle, Judy, and Thielen. Great, value at Thielen. I can't believe he's still falling. Waited on tight end, but ends up with 3 good guys, likely Gesicki and Mason Taylor. All around really good team. Definitely prefer his team than mine, but that's how it goes sometimes. Let's check this out real quick. Where are we at? So 3.5 hours. This thing is 27.5% full. Absolute crazy stuff. So let's hit up chat, and then we will get on out of here in a second. Hartman, hopefully it's still open for a sibling showdown. Yeah, at this point, I'm not sure, Hartman. That's 5 hours from now. Not sure if it's going to make it. We might get one of the last ones in. So we'll have to see what we end up doing tonight with that. I think ideally we'd like to do 1 or 2 of these, but who knows? Thank you, everyone, again for joining me in the show. Join me in chat. Join me in the drafts. Thanks for all the likes and the support. Please, leave a comment after the stream. Always helps out. And we'll be back. Not sure the next time we'll be back doing one of these talking ball Steveospeak. We'll be on tonight with Meg, and then Meg tomorrow, I believe, has Felix Castro, former DK millionaire winner. But they'll be doing an underdog draft tomorrow. Not sure what time for her friends with best ball. So thank you again. I'm going to get on out of here. Good luck drafting. good luck. Hopefully better injury news coming out, and enjoy the rest of everyone's day. I will catch you guys later. Peace.